this series of videos, I want to be very meticulous. So I hope you'll be patient with me, and as I go along, you'll find this interesting. Thanks again. What I think I'm going to do is take this plastic and cut a strip of that and lay it inside there, or a couple of strips, whatever, and lay it inside. And then I can build this up with the crystal clear. So what I did was give it a test. I actually took a toothpick and did what they did in the video and put it in there. And then actually even on that old piece did it in the rectangle window. And actually on the new piece, the rectangles are even smaller. And so this is kind of what happened. So I guess that technique works. That's the micro crystal clear. I used a toothpick and put it in there, and looks pretty good. And then I did it on this previous piece window. My fear was that, you know, you do it and then you couldn't mask it. I think what I'm going to do is go ahead and paint this on both sides as if the glass was in there without masking, and then come back after I'm done and do this technique to it afterwards, because I kind of, after it dried a little bit, wiped it down and wet this Q-tip and wiped it across, and that actually looks good. And now I'm going to experiment building it up. But so far so good on that. And then I went back and touched up that doorway with some ultra thin super glue to improve that upper corner of the doorway. And I think I have it the way I want it now. It looks pretty good. And then before I put the engine nacelle halves together, I noticed one of them still had, you know, this mark from the opening on the other side. So I just filled it in with some ultra thin super glue and buffed it out. And then I went ahead and glued those engine nacelle halves together and let those dry, and then I'll come back for the tails. And then next I test fit some weights for the nose there and found it was too big and had to take it over to the anvil on my vise and hammer it into a rectangle and then retest fit it, and it fit that time. Next, I worked on that resin piece that comes with the kit to plug that hole in the top, UR5 I believe it's called, and test fit it, had to improve the opening a couple times, and then finally got it to fit. So I'll put it in when I put the cockpit in a little bit later. Finally laying some paint down. Put the dark gold gray on the inside of the fuselages and the inside of the engine cowls. Before I close up the fuselage halves, the other thing I have to do is this nose, and I want to, you know, get this spotlight, I guess it is, on there, and drill that out before I close those. I think it'll be easier to drill. So that hole at the bottom just above the tape is that hole there, and then I marked that other even smaller hole right there, you can see with the tip of the tail. And then I marked those two pencil marks are the two hinges. Yeah, and then this, you can see that spotlight is only slightly bigger around than this hole. So I think at the very least, I'm going to drill these two holes while I have this still separated. Okay, so now that I have this marked where I want it, I'm going to start a pilot hole and then match the bit to the template and then figure out what bit to use and then drill this out. All right, so I can see behind there and I can see almost through it. I've got it so thin that it's just before it pokes through. And I think I'm going to leave it like that, so that I can put some silver on the back inside there and then fill that with the crystal clear, and hopefully that'll look like a spotlight. So I'm pretty happy with that. Cool. Yeah, and I like the placement. I think I got it right. Okay, so now I'm going to get a super small micro drill bit and then put this last hole in here. I'm going on to my third bit. I'd rather start small, and I comparing it to the reference, I'd rather start small and come up than have it too big and, then you gotta fill it in. All right, so that's those 2 holes. Yeah, maybe that bottom one could even be bigger. Well, I can wait until after it's all together to do that. But I wanted to get those 2 in there. So, yeah, I'm pretty happy. And I'm happy with these 2 rectangles that I've scribed on the nose there. I'm going to put that piece in there, that plug in there next. And then probably the weight in the nose. So then proceeded to do just that, put that UR5 resin piece in and glued it into place, then fitted the cockpit and put that up into the nose and then glued that into place as well. And then finished up by putting that weight in the nose with the thick super glue. And then I added a little bit behind the cockpit. I like to go a little bit overboard. Before I go too much further, I am still doing the collaboration with Glenn Hoover on these instructions. So I want to catch up to, where I am. Starting with this figure, all this work is done. All this construction of the cockpit, which is now in the fuselage, and all the painting there. And then this is talking about converting the fuselage from that of the tracker to the trader and all the steps there in conjunction with his drawings here. As I said before, I kind of redid the order and made some new drawings should he want to use these. But all of his steps here are valid. So, all of these things are done as well. Now converting, that fuselage, at least from here up, as I still have to do that bottom. And again, just talking about filling in this side, filling in that window, all those things I did in the earlier episodes. So again, all these things are done all the way down. And now we're getting to this, catching up to where we are now. Scribe the shape of the double door. This is all, carve out the window openings. This is all still to do with, getting to this drawing. UR5 here. I've put that in. I've painted the interior, insert ballast. That's done. And then on the engines here, these tires are just dry fit, test fit. But basically what I've done is I've, followed these, but instead of doing this resin insert, I'm using the Falcon kit there. So I won't alter his instructions for this because no one else is going to have this Falcon kit. It doesn't exist anymore. If you're going to make a trader going forward from these instructions, you'll have to use that plug. So I think that catches me up. The next thing I want to work on are these engines. And I will show my reference. Basically what's going on is between these are the kit engines here. And then this is my quick boost aftermarket. You can see these lines, the kind of straight structures here coming from the center. Those are to simulate these, I don't know if they're fuel lines or oil lines or whatever they are. But underneath is very simple. Kind of the opposite here. Underneath is very detailed. And again, looks good to references, but it doesn't have these lines running. So I want to improve these by putting those in there. So I was looking for things to simulate those lines, and I tried a few different things. I started with, the styrene rod, and I felt that was too big. And then I tried some wire, again, too big. This, I think it's 10-pound test or something, fishing line. And that is thin enough to give me what I want. And there's already a piece in here that's hard to see because it's clear, right? But that's the appropriate width to get in there. Then once I paint everything, they'll come out. yeah, so I'm going to detail that with little lines of a monofilament fishing line. I cut out, that's at least 36 of those, probably closer to 40 of those pieces of fishing wire. The other thing I found is that these need to be drilled out for the propeller shafts to fit in there. So I'll find the right size bit and then maybe take those over to the drill press. All right, let's take a look. Oh, that one works. This one, I don't want to force it. I'll take it back and just run it in it. Oh, there we go. Well, it's not going all the way down. I don't want to force it, but yeah, that should work. I'll just take this one back and go in and out one or two more times. All right, time to bring these fuselage halves together. I'm going to start from the nose and work my way back. So did just that with the ultra thin cement. Just worked my way all the way around and glued those two fuselage halves together, then let them set up and got ready for that fuselage piece from the Falcon kit. All right, I've glued these two pieces together, and I've been playing around with how to support them in the middle to keep that, you know, that bow in there. But it can't go too far forward or too far back. So I think right about there. And then it also needs support in the middle and the back here. 0.05 millimeter rod should do back there. And again, there's the outline of the door that was on this piece, and I line that up with that corner. And I get that centered on there. And I think right about there should do it. And then all I have to do is slope that down to there, clean this up and slope it down to there. Then I used ultra thin super glue to glue those two supports in place and then glue the piece in place all the way around. Yeah, looking at it on here, I think that's gonna work. That's gonna look good. Like I said, if this is a kind of a severe angle, I may bring it down gradually and maybe give myself to the end of, because the landing gear, you know, doors are going to be open, gear will be down, give myself to end of here, of this opening, to bring that down gradually. But yeah, I think that's going to look good. I think that worked. I'm stuck with it now. So we'll take it from here. So then I basically measured out and placed and glued into place some styrene cardstock. And in the front there, I did carry it, you know, to the front of that original opening. And then in the back, did the same thing, just measured out and cut out some cardstock and glued it into place. All right, so I've taped all around. Now I'm going to fill this with the medium super glue. And I'll fill this, any gaps, just fill those, and then come back tomorrow, and hopefully it'll be a matter of smoothing that edge, you know, just smoothing these edges down to the existing surface all the way around, and then getting these smooth this way, and then same thing back here. This is that edge that this part has to go on. I want to keep that pristine because I want a nice clean edge there. So then it's just bringing that card down, you know, to that surface. Okay, there we go. I'm pretty happy with the way this came out, especially up here by that landing gear. Around there. Now you got to kind of look at it from the side here because there's that clear super glue, but that is a perfectly smooth surface now from front to back, and I'm pretty happy. I think that does what it needs to do. pretty happy. Now that I have this the way I want it, next step moving toward the back is, of course, this piece. That fits nicely, but I have to also correct here for this. And, you know, having succeeded on this, I'm going to take a similar approach. I took the tail from that Falcon kit, and that's going to go on here. So just kind of noodling out how I'm going to do that. And I think, so it's going to go something like that. And I think what I'm going to do is I want to leave this intact where, you know, I want to leave everything intact that connects to this part. So it's really working from here that way. And what I'd like to hopefully do is, you can see how that's hollow inside. If I can file that down and then kind of put this on there, probably cut this back this way to the appropriate spot, and then just put that on there, it would be much more solid, kind of like that, going that way. It's on the sticky tack, probably actually a little further back, somewhere around there. But you get the idea. And leave this surface intact. I think that's going to be the best approach. So at the end of the day, it'll look something like that, you know, with that piece up. So that's the next thing I'm going to do. But it is Sunday afternoon, so that will, you know, be where I pick up the next episode, so to speak. I'm super happy with the progress that I made on all of this. I mean, this definitely, you know, fits the bill. Happy with the decision about the windows. It'll just be the last thing I do, because I do like how this came out. So that'll be next. And then the other thing I can do now that the fuselage is done is, whoops, wrong way, is fit all this, and then get those engines done as well, and fit these and dial these in and get those where they need to go, and then cut the wings. And, you know, this was just such a huge hurdle to get past this. I kind of feel like I've got some momentum going now. So until next time, thanks for watching, and happy modeling.